Gunna's latest album, titled The Last One, is here after a surprise drop this Friday, and while decently performing commercially so far, the reception it's being met with is pretty negative. Gunna hasn't ever exactly been a critically beloved artist, but this decrease in perceived quality is pretty dramatic. So what happened? Is Gunna just bad at music now? Well, no, not really, because the biggest criticism against this album is that it's very bloated and repetitive, and when listening to it or looking at its track list, it's pretty obvious why that critique is warranted. This album is an entire 25 tracks long and clocks in at 68 minutes. It's a lot of music, but many feel like it's more just the same song repeated a whole lot of times. Just last week, NBA YoungBoy was met with similar criticisms for his album Massa, but to an even higher degree because that album has a whole 30 tracks and a runtime of over an hour and a half. And much earlier this year, one of the biggest albums that came out this year, Playboi Carti's Music, falls in the same category of length with 30 tracks and 76 minutes. As I'm sure most of us remember, this album was pretty polarizing, but its excessive length was one of the biggest factors on the side of its detractors. That begs the question, why do artists even bother making this many songs for an album when it clearly results in a worse product? Well, that answer becomes a lot more clear when we consider how streams convert into album sales and chart positions. With the rise of streaming, it became tricky to decide how streams should convert into album sales, since you don't have to buy an album to stream it. The compromise the RIAA determined back in 2016 is that 1,500 streams of any song on an album equals a full album sale. Looking at popular releases, it correlates pretty clear why the late 2010s have brought us this unfortunate trend of bloated trap albums. Albums that have become a popular classic or a staple in trap at this point are shockingly short in retrospect. Barter 6, Jeffrey, Rodeo, DS2, Srem Life 1 and 2, Lil Boat, the list goes on. Even looking at the track list side by side of Culture 1 versus Culture 2 by Migos makes it pretty clear that a dramatic switch in the meta occurred here. Next came things like Juice WRLD's Death Race for Love, Young Thug's So Much Fun, or Cardi's Whole Lotta Red. Those albums were still decently accepted for what they were, but by the time we were seeing things like what Lil Uzi did with the Eternal Atake Deluxe or Culture 3, we already started seeing people feeling like their patience was being tested. Now a decade into this trend, this Gunna album feels like it marks an all-time breaking point, and people are simply sick and tired of even giving the benefit of the doubt to these bloated 20-plus track albums. We're at a turning point where it seems like artists are going to have to decide between integrity and respect or album sales, and that makes me wonder if we'll be seeing a return to shorter trap albums in the near future. But that's just my thought on this ongoing trend. Let me know what yours are in the comments, and remember to like and follow for more music-related content.